But we've all got our glasses. So.
Hey everyone, Pat Belliveau here with Greg Bush. Video number 5 in our video series. Our special guest this time around is Calgary drummer and educator and all-around pasta appreciator and Amarone drinker and Calgary's king of pasta and one-liners, John DeWaal. So
that's right. I was just telling somebody yesterday about the seat of your pants big band.
That's right.
Yeah. Right.
So I know for me, I'll let Greg expand on this, but I know for me, John, you and I go back. I remember the Wednesday night big band, Brian Terlasis' big band. When I joined in 1984, you were playing the drums. You were playing drums in it at that time. So, so yeah, that goes back, however many thousands of years that is, and that's what 40. No, not quite 40. 30 something years, however long. So yeah. So anyway,
when I had dark hair.
Yes.
That's right.
And I did too, actually. Well,
right
here anyway. So yeah, I would have been in 1984. I would have been 17. So there you go. I was in high school at the time. So
yeah.
Anyway,
I was just a tad older. I was 20.
Right. Yes. You would have been here already, right? Because you were here in 1980.
I got there in
1984.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking of it since yesterday when this was set up. I was trying to remember when John and I met the first time. I couldn't place it. I know Pat was easy because of the high school, but I can't remember when I met you. It's like you're the universe. You were just always there.
Well, yeah, and then you subbed in Moment's Notice, like Rod's band, right?
Rod Schmidt.
That's probably where it was.
That's what I'm thinking. Would have been the first.
I think so. With Alex and Dave Metcalf.
Right.
And you and Rod, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then the horn section, sometimes it was Neil McCallum, sometimes it was Dave Edgar.
That's right. Yeah. Or Harry Fussell.
Harry Fussell. What a funny dude, man. He must have gone on to the great sax section in the sky, or is he still around?
No, I think he passed away, but I used to do the Stampeder games with him. Usually when it was 40 below zero, that's when I got a phone call to sub, Yeah, so that
of course.
That's when I'd run into him with Klaus Kratz. He put a big band together. They called it Trojan Band. No pun intended. It was just Trojan Realty. So,
and this was for the Stampeders games?
Yes, we played right in the.
I did some of those.
So I don't have to worry about a ball coming. I
remember. I did a few of those. Yeah, it was freezing.
That's right. Yeah, you're playing a little sharp. Yeah, can't help it.
So, do you want to give a bit of your background, John? Just let folks know. Like, you don't have to go back to. You could say I played drums when I was 2 and whatever and all that. But fast forward through all the other stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, starting out was everybody wanted to emulate Ringo, of course, with the Beatles. So of course that was kind of in that groove, trying to play in a rock band, and then got a few friends together from James Fowler. We put a rock band together, and Bonham and Ringo were kind of my big influences, and then finally Ray Petch with the Union said, you should really think about taking the jazz workshop in Banff. And I said, yeah, that sounds good. What do I have to do for that? He says, well, just apply for a scholarship. And so I did. And he said, well, you got the scholarship. So anyway, I went to that for 2 weeks, and that kind of turned me right around. So that's when I kind of, gave up all the rock ideas that I had, and decided to just concentrate on jazz at that point.
Who was the drum person at the Banff Center for that workshop that year?
That's Stan Perry.
Okay.
It was Phil Nimmons. I'm going back a few years, 1976.
I was 9.
Yeah. So it was 2 weeks then at that point. And,
okay.
It's because of Ray Petch kind of, pushing me. He said, you should really think about taking in this workshop. I think it'd be good for you. And then after that, then I went to the drum set workshop in the States. That's where I met Ed Sof and Steve Houghton, who were influence for me. And then, well, Pat, you would remember this, well, and Greg too, when we did the gig in Montreux, the lead up to that, we played the Calgary Jazz Festival. And I ended up meeting Jeff Hamilton backstage. And he said to me, oh, you should think about taking in this workshop that I've been doing for a number of years in Port Townsend. And so that's, kind of cemented my friendship with Jeff after that, because I went to, well, Pat, you and I went.
Yeah, you and I went to the workshop in 1990, Bud Shank workshop. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I got a friendship with Jeff and then John Clayton, of course, because when they did the Jazz Festival in Calgary, it was with Monty Alexander. So it was Monty Alexander, John Clayton, and Jeff Hamilton. They were the headliners.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people would be probably John Riley, Tyler Hornby's drum camp that he has in August. I met John Riley, and we kind of got a friendship together as well. So, of course, the early mentors for me would have been Tommy Banks, of course, and probably we can all sat in Alberta, and also Hugh Fraser, the late Hugh Fraser, unfortunately. So then I kind of continued with that, like you said, Pat, that I was in the Wednesday night band with you, and then remember there's the Chaos Big Band.
Oh yes.
And then the Chaos Big Band. Yes. And then there was the City Lights Band, the one that Lincoln Fry ran.
Yep, that's right. I was in that too.
And then when Dave Jones asked me to join the Primetime Band, 94. And so you and I have been in that ever since.
Yep. Well, except for 1 year. I was out for 1 year, but I've been in it since then.
Right.
Yep.
And I guess that kind of sums everything up. I kind of opened the studio in 79, started teaching right up until, 40 years later. 2019 is when I closed the studio. And
yeah,
then,
John, for folks who don't know, John had a well-established music studio for what you said in 1979 it started. And it was drums and woodwinds, brass, voice, guitar, bass, like the whole bit, crumb horn, Maui Zaffoon, all those things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, offered lessons at 3 a.m.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. On crumb horn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Alpenhorn, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just closed it down, John? You didn't get somebody else to take it over or sell it? You just closed it?
Yeah, I just thought it would be, too big of a hassle with, we've got other tenants in the building. The building my dad owned, when he passed away, the ownership switched over to me. So we kind of wanted to switch it over to a, strictly commercial. And, and then I wanted to have my own kind of man cave down there so I could go and kind of practice anytime I wanted without driving my wife nuts. So that's why I kind of aligned part of that, my studio. I'm going to keep that as my own little practice area.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So
yeah, I remember having a couple of rehearsals in there.
Yeah.
You've got to work on your.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Was it you guys that told me that Pat LaBarbera story about that? Somebody told me that Pat LaBarbera was adjudicating at a workshop, and the kid went bada 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 bada, boom boom chit boom boom whatever, and Pat was like, "Okay, that was a kind of a cool fill there that you did there, but what happened to beat 4?" And the kid goes, "I ran out of drums."
Right. That's right.
I forget who. I don't know who told me that. I wasn't there for it, but by the time the story got to me, it was attributed to Pat LaBarbera.
Well, and going back to your student.
Well, and the other thing, another point was when we did the Alcan Jazz competition, right?
Right.
Right.
Was that 1990?
1990. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
that's right.
Yeah. So that was Quintonal, right? Wasn't that the name of the band then?
I think that's what we called it. Yeah, it was me and
Yeah.
you and Pat and Sean Bray, and who else? Who was on piano or guitar? Oh, Sean Bray on guitar. Who would have? Probably John Hyde.
Yeah, I bet it was John.
Greg Pryor on
Or was
bass.
it Greg?
Wasn't it? I thought so.
Wow, I don't remember.
Well, he did
1990.
Montreux. He did Steve
Yeah, he
Bridget.
did Montreal.
Yeah, we played for folks who don't know, we played the Jazz Festival in Montreux, Switzerland in the summer of 1989. And it was the three of us and Greg Pryor on bass and Steve Bridget on piano.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a fun trip.
Yeah, that was a fun trip. And with Art taking us to the Art Lap in his van, didn't he take us?
Yeah, to the Edmonton International Airport.
That's right.
Yeah, because the flight flew out of Edmonton.
Yeah.
And that's the one when we had that huge coffin-sized case for the bass, and we're wheeling it through the concourse, and we're all like, "Oh, Uncle Charlie, we're so sad you died."
Yeah.
Trying to get people to think it was a body in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all had those weird glasses.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Pat,
you and I did a couple of years back. We did the Zenato Wine Festival, right?
Oh yes, in Italy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another fun trip. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially with Italian wines. Well, not as much for me as yourself, perhaps, but you know, I mean, the overall experience was.
Yeah.
I mean, I had my gnocchi and tiramisu fix, so that was good for me. So yeah, in a big way.
And that was Sheldon Zambor and Stefano Baldo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was,
well, let's hope something like that presents itself again, so I get a chance to go. I just couldn't make it happen that time.
Yeah.
But I still have fond memories of the Zenato Amarone. I'm on the phone with John. I'm taking pictures of these various Amarones and sending it to him. He's like, "Yeah, so you might want to go to get the Zenato." And then I go to the next place, they don't have this. I'm taking pictures of alternatives. And he's like, "Yeah, some of those I've heard of, some of those I haven't." He said, "Yeah, you might want to get the Zenato." Finally, the third time I was like, "Yeah, so the wine expert's telling me to go get the Zenato." It's taken a while for it to sink in.
That's right. That's right.
So I did go buy it, and it was a huge freaking hit. So thanks for that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but were we not in a group? John, you were. Well, I know, Greg, you and I were, but John, you were in the Jazz Vigilantes too, right, with Paul Shuchuk? Is that right? Do you remember that group?
Yeah.
I still have the T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was another one. Paul Shuchuk played bass, I remember.
And Audrey Graham.
And Audrey Graham played piano. That's right. Yeah.
Audrey Graham.
Yes.
I think I have a VHS of that somewhere.
Yeah, it's bad when you get our age, you just can't remember who was in the band before him. All you know is you were there, and that's as far as it goes.
Yeah. Who the hell else was there? Yeah, that's the thing.
That's right. Right.
I was going through some pictures the other day from probably around 2000, and I was like, I have pictures of gigs and being in a band. I can pick me out, and I'm like, I have no clue who those other people are. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Must have been memorable.
You played in a number of rock bands before going into the jazz thing, though, did you not? You did a lot of the rock rooms and rock circuits?
Yeah, just well, I mean, at that time there was you did three nights in the or 3 nights in the bar and then 3 nights in the cabaret. That was kind of the standard routine. And so we were kind of doing the circuit at that point. And the band kind of morphed into more of a show band after, we were getting fired from a lot of places. We were too loud.
Which band is this that you're talking about?
Well, that would have been, I guess, the last show rock band. It was with Steve Bridget and Sandy Nadler, Glenn Murkowski, and myself. And then we had Dennis Telly on guitar.
What were y'all called?
Live.
Oh,
looked
okay.
like LIV, so everybody thought we were called 54, but it was actually, and I said, well, half the band was born in 54, so I guess that makes sense.
There you
So,
go.
yeah. Yeah, and then we kind of, the group kind of ended up breaking up, and that's kind of when I kind of made the change to, kind of concentrate more on the jazz side of things. I mean, I was in a trio called Beacon Hill with Jim Lewis, another one of my favorite players, and that was like a kind of a high energy trio, and we did gigs around Calgary as well, and that's when I had my Bonham drum sets, and it was like fill up the van just with the drums, and there wasn't room for anything else, So, yeah, so when I went to the Banff Center, like Stan Perry's, he had this little small Gretsch jazz kit, and yeah, this is really neat. I'll get rid of the big drum set, and I can put this in the trunk of my car, and away we go. So, and then, again, meeting Phil Nimmons, Pat will remember we brought him in with Primetime as a guest.
I do.
Yeah, and and then all the other people we kind of stayed friends with, like Bobby Shue,
who I'm hoping to get on here at some point. I hope. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And then we had Joe LaBarbera, Pat LaBarbera, right?
Another one I hope to get on here at some point.
Yeah, and we did he did the Banff thing with Doc Severinsen, the Trumpet Guild. So that was another short day. Yeah, boy, that was yeah. But
in the rehearsal, I had him pointed right at my head when he was playing.
Yeah,
he was playing right in between, like it was right in between my eyes.
This Doc was doing that?
Yeah, during our rehearsal. He was standing in front of the band, pointed right at me. And all I kept thinking was, I'm glad I have a bottle of Advil in the glove compartment of my car.
Yeah.
As soon as I knew it was a trumpet thing, I knew I got to pack Advil. So there we
go. Yeah.
Boom. Yes.
Yeah, so that's and then, well, of course, CDs that I was on. Well, Pat, you were on a lot of those too. That first disc you did with Paul Wertico. I had to share the drum chair.
Do you still maintain contact with him at all?
Yeah, the odd email back and forth. Yeah.
I'd like to get him on here too at some point.
Yeah,
so I'm looking to bring him up actually in the spring, if it's possible, to do I think with the Ambrose big band. So, but I don't know how that's going to work getting across the border. I somehow think that's going to have to be postponed a year. But anyway.
Yeah, he did Willie's thing with us with
Primetime. That's right. That's right. Yeah,
that was amazing. That was amazing. Yeah, and then the other disc I did with Mary Jo, my wife, did it, and that was 4 years ago now. Yeah, and then Pat, you and I were on the both Primetime CDs. Yeah. So that's I guess.
And the live recording in Panama too.
Correct. Yeah, that was another fun trip. That was really good too. Yeah, we sure put a lot of stuff in the 1 week. That's for sure. Yeah, jeez, that was amazing. Yeah, I still miss John Hyde since he moved away. So that was kind of that. The main focus of Verismo was that band, right, with Jeremy Brown. Yeah. And Stan. We had Derek Stoll and what year did we start that Verismo?
2001, I think.
Okay, we were the last band to record for the CBC.
Right.
For jazz.
Yes, that was 06. 2006. Yep.
Yeah.
So we did that.
And then Montreal.
We did the Montreal Festival in 2007.
Yeah. So, I wish there was something on the horizon with the pandemic. It's hard to say. Well, Pat, you've got a gig coming up with Jens.
Jens Lindemann,
yeah,
on the 7th of November at the Iron.
What's happening with Jens on the 7th?
Well, we just finished recording a Matt Kattengoob and Alan Gilliland arrangement of Rhapsody in Blue.
Okay.
Like 18 minutes long, and this was to be added on to the CD we did in Banff 2 summers ago. with a whole bunch of people from across the country. It was all the saxes were from here, and the trombone, all female trombone section, one from here, one from Newfoundland, and one from Quebec. And
Of course, Al Muirhead.
Al is in it. Brian O'Kane played trumpet as well, and
Yeah.
Joel Gray played lead, and then Jens, and then Steve Moretti on drums from Georgia, and Mike Downs on bass, and Roby Botos on piano.
Is there a video out of that? I think I saw that.
There's a video
Okay.
out, and we recorded 14 tracks in 2 days in Banff 2 summers ago, and then we just did this Rhapsody in Blue all remotely. So everybody was literally phoning in their part, basically.
Yeah.
But Matt put together some really great, Matt Cattengood put together some really great, whatever tracks to follow, whether it's MIDI or whatever reference track it was, and with click track, because Rhapsody in Blue has so many accelerando, de-accelerando things and blah, blah, blah. So, and that was just recorded. So Jens is up here, and then we're doing a concert on the 7th with a lot of the material that we did 2 summers ago in Banff. So,
Oh, right on.
yeah, two half-hour shows. That's about all we can do as far as COVID guidelines and all that kind of stuff. So,
Right. Where are you doing it?
Ironwood.
Cool.
Yeah, luckily Pat got that fundraiser, so I think that
Yes.
should keep him alive for a little bit longer. You know?
Yeah, I know a lot of people out there probably who ever been through here to play or anything like that recognize the name the Ironwood. It's probably the busiest venue in the city, doing about 400 plus concerts a year. Well, it did before all this craziness started. So
Yeah, and then
of various types.
And then Beatnik, remember with the Rob Young's club, Pat, you and I did a lot of those gigs, and Greg too. Well, I guess that would have been, how many years now has it been since he sold the club? It's got to be like 5 or 6 years.
I was thinking something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was recalling a gig that all of us were on. I don't remember. I think I was doing a school clinic or something. When Greg, you were out here just before Christmas, and it was a quintet, and I think it was John Hyde, John, you, and Derek, and the 2 of us. And I think, well, somebody else was soloing, not me, and I noticed 3 people walk in, and they sat at the table near the front, just off to the right, and we're checking out the band, and I saw them talking and pointing to us and all that kind of stuff. And then the end of the set came up, and we still had about a half-hour tag set to play. So Greg, you and I hopped off the stage and started to walk towards the bar to get a drink, and they stood up to leave and shook our hands. We're very nice and friendly, and we thanked them for coming and all that stuff. And so then we started walking to the bar, and John Hyde came up and stood beside us and said, "I don't imagine you guys recognized who you were just talking to, did you?" And we looked at each other like, "No." And he said, "That's James Hetfield from Metallica." So I use that in schools. I say, if James Hetfield can take some time off after his gig and come to a jazz club to decompress, you can put on some jazz recordings too. Kids, considering that you're playing in your school's jazz ensemble, hello, So I try to get as much mileage out of that as I can, because perfect example. And they're just like, their eyes just widen. I'm like, hey, there you go. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm still getting mileage out of it.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of good times at Beatnik, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And who did you study with, John? Like when you first started, getting serious, like who was your first teacher? I mean, your dad played drums, so probably I would imagine you probably called on him initially.
Yeah. And then when Ray Petch had a music studio, and I started studying with Jim Pepperdine, and then Malcolm Page, and then I was with the under the Mount Royal program. So I was with the Intermediate Philharmonic, playing percussion, and then at the same time playing all these rock bands. And then Harry Cardell was my instructor at Mount Royal. And then I ended up going to the youth orchestra playing timpani. And then at that point, I kind of, started to just concentrate on, drum set teachers. So that's when that's when I started getting involved with Jeff Hamilton and
Well, you would have done master classes with Jeff at the Bud Shank, right? Bud
well,
Shank
yeah,
Workshop?
because I went, I had some private lessons with Jeff too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that, he's always been kind of a mentor to me because, he's kind of the person I've always looked up to, like, because he kind of does everything. He plays great small group and he plays great big band too. So that's kind of emulate, that if I was, going to try and copy somebody, that would be the guy, So.
Did you ever take any private studies with John Riley?
No, we've hung out quite a bit, but not physically having a lesson sitting, at a drum kit.
Sure.
So we more or less kind of talked, a lot about just the concept of playing,
Okay.
because he had, well, with him being in the Vanguard Orchestra, I always loved Mel Lewis's drumming, so we always get into conversations about Mel Lewis all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, I mean, again, John's been a good friend, and we stay in touch. Again, he used to come up every year, but now with the pandemic, it was, the workshop was canceled this year with Tyler's drum set workshop.
Yeah.
So, we're hoping, we're hoping that something will improve next year, But that's basically it, just, a private study on my own, and, getting material ready for my students, which, again, thousands of books. Pat, you've been in my studio before.
I used to order books through you.
Yeah. So, it's just.
Could I still do that if I needed some?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Okay.
It's just,
good to know.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, one of these days, I'm going to have to purge, that room because, it's getting to the point where you can't even get in there to, have a rehearsal. There's so much, printed material in there. So that'll be the next thing, this winter coming up is to kind of get everything in one room, and then I can just, light a fire to it. I mean, because I got a lot of jazz books that I was selling, especially with jazz vocals, that we were offering at the studio. So.
Yeah.
Is there still the Italian restaurant in your building?
It's now, no, that closed in 2015. It's now, well, actually, there is a new restaurant opening probably on the 6th of November. It's going to be called the Gin Bar, and it's a celebrity chef again. Ginny Lee is going to be the main chef there, and it's going to be pizza, which is fine with me, and also fried chicken. And it's kind of, they're going to probably start bringing Korean street food is the idea of the menu. Yeah.
Because I remember having lunch with you guys and Peter Erskine in a restaurant in your building.
That's right. Yeah, I saw Peter at the last educators convention in New Orleans. So I'm there. Yeah, he's another good friend too. Yeah, you stay in touch with him quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
cool.
I sent him a copy of my latest singles release, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, and I spoke to him a little bit on email.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, super nice guy.
He is.
Yeah. That I hope we can eventually get down to another convention again.
Yeah.
For the jazz,
Yeah, no kidding.
So
it seems to me I saw some advertising that Gen thing is going to be virtual coming up in January.
Oh, okay.
You can sign up for workshops and stuff like that. So I might check that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are always great conventions,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially when Pat and I were in New York all the time. You don't know where to go. There's all these jazz clubs that are like on a normal basis having phenomenal acts, and then the convention's on at the same time. So,
yeah,
it's around the clock,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get into your room and you slip into a coma.
That's right. That's right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, just so you know, we're quickly approaching a half hour here. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
You want to close this one down, open up another one?
Do you want to do a second one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Have a part two.
I don't know. I don't know what other history I can come up with. I could, get some of my old high school pictures out. I don't know.
I got my slides set up.
Right.
Okay, I'll stop this one. We can start a part two if you want.
Sure, let's do
Okay,
it.
just a sec. Stop this one.
All right.